Charlie 141640552, you're cleared midfield, left downwind for runway 10 on departure. Maintain the W 2400 until outside the class Echo. One way to 5 wind, 140 and slides, there for takeoff.
It was 12:57 p.m. on the afternoon of August 31st, 1982. C141, tail number 640652, aircraft departed Charleston on a training mission simulating wartime situations that would require flying low to avoid radar. 9 crew members were on board. The aircraft and crew from Charleston's 541st Military Airlift Squadron's course was plotted through the mountainous terrain between North Carolina and Tennessee. They never returned to Charleston or their families, and their bodies were never found. Welcome to another episode of This Happened Here, where I bring you true stories of things that have happened here in the US and, quite frankly, anywhere in the world. I find interesting stories to share with you. We drove up the 23-mile Skyway to the summit of the Smoky Mountain, to the area where this aircraft went down. So ride along with me while I tell you the story, and if you like it, consider subscribing. I am your host, LT Bartek. Major Robert M. Meeks, 36, Aircraft Commander. Captain Robert E. Down, 36, Flight Examiner. Major Elmer A. McNally, 44, Navigator. Captain Alan W. Gist, 29, Navigator. Senior Master Sergeant Monty G. W. Nicholson, 41, Flight Examiner and Loadmaster. Technician Sergeant Billy J. Cantor, 30, Flight Engineer. Staff Sergeant Wayne R. Higgins, Jr., 27, Flight Engineer. Staff Sergeant Daniel Van Arsdal, 31, Loadmaster. Sergeant Jack C. Sweatman, 26, Loadmaster. Those were the names of the extremely experienced crew members led by Major Robert M. Meeks, who were killed on that fateful day. It was raining and very overcast that day. Other aircraft had reported 4,500 feet overcast, tops to clouds 8,000 feet with zero visibility. The crew, led by Meeks, the soldier who had helped to develop the training route, left Charleston's Air Force Base at 12:57 p.m. Tuesday. This training mission called for a 200-mile flight route beginning 50 miles southwest of Chattanooga, Tennessee. The training route zigzagged through the Chattanooga area, then through the Smoky Mountain in North Carolina, and on through a tip-off in northern Georgia, then would end west of Pickens, South Carolina. According to Air Force officials, the mission involved a tactical maneuver known as terrain masking. This means that the jet is flown between radar coverage and would use geography to hide its flight path. Because of this, crews are expected to stay out of radar contact until the mission is completed so as to not be detected. Terrain masking protects the transport jet from radar detection or enemy fire, while the crew flies cargo or paratroopers to a specific drop zone. It was speculated that the crew was going to use the Bendix color radar in the map mode that had just been installed to test for terrain avoidance. The C141B transport jet, the Air Force's second largest transport plane, had a wingspan of nearly 160 feet and is capable of carrying up to 200 troops or almost 70,000 pounds of cargo. The aircraft, made in the mid-1960s, cost somewhere between $10 million and $12 million. Schaefer, one of the pilots who has flown more than 4,000 hours in the C-141s and who has also flown the training route 4 times, says it calls for pilots to fly between mountain peaks. Atlanta radar plotted the aircraft en route at 1,427 feet. The plot showed the aircraft in a progressive climb from 2,500 feet. The aircraft impacted at 4,909 feet at Johns Knobs in the Tellico Wildlife Area, Tennessee, 118 feet short of the peak. At the time of impact, the aircraft was traveling at about 260 miles per hour through thick rain and fog, and visibility was below the minimum for military training. The aircraft was due to return to base at 6 p.m., but at 5:30 p.m., base got a call from Beaufort that the plane had not arrived. The plane's fuel would have expired at 7:30 p.m. Authorities last contacted the plane at 1:50 p.m. on Tuesday, when the pilot had asked Atlanta Air Controls for permission to change from instrument to visual navigation. It was believed the plane crashed 40 minutes later. At 6:30 p.m., a flight service station in Atlanta began an aerial search. A Federal Aviation Administration computer traced the plane to within a mile of the crash site, and the ground crew, using flashlights, found the wreckage late Wednesday evening. Upon reaching the site, they saw that the plane had crashed into an eastern Tennessee mountainside near the Cherokee National Forest. It had hit the solid rock with so much force that it cut grooves in the rock wall and then just disintegrated, killing all 9 crewmen on board instantly. The impact sent debris all over the top of the mountain and about 1.5 miles down the side. The tail section was found intact along with 4 other pieces of wreckage, each about the size of a medium car. The rest of the plane was in bits and pieces, and a line of trees about 50 to 70 feet wide were sheared from the mountain top, leaving a trail of twisted green metal behind it. Charred clothing and pieces of green cargo parachutes hung from trees, and burnt pages from technical manuals littered the ground. The air smelled of jet fuel. The Air Force investigators sealed off the rugged mountainous terrain where the plane went down, while reporters and photographers were kept back about a mile until investigators entered the site at 5:10 p.m. on Thursday. The plane's instrument recorder, the only recording device aboard the plane, could not be found. At the time, the plane was about 50 miles off course, but this was not unusual for training missions. After the on-site investigation was completed, the removal of the debris was done by helicopters and trucks, and the wreck was taken to McGee Tyson Airport in Knoxville, where Air Force officials conducted further investigations. Upon completion of their investigations, the wreck was disposed of. This took a while though, because the C141B was roughly the size of a 747 commercial jet. Now these U.S. servicemen's bodies were never found and are still buried somewhere in this mountain, but there is no mention of this along the Skyway, which I find very sad. But I would like to remember them here because these men lost their lives in the service of this great country. Well, thank you for riding with me along the Cherohala Skyway. If you like this or any of my past episodes, stand in front of the like button for your moment of silence for the brave soldiers who lost their lives that day. Subscribe and ring that notification bell so you won't miss any of my future uploads. Now write and tell me if you've ever driven on the Skyway and what was your impression of it. Remember to check my website, somestoriesofmine.com, for the links to my books posted on Amazon, Kindle Vella, Google Play Books, and Gumroad. I also have free books on Wattpad. I would also love it if you would follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for some freebies. The links are in the description below and on my website. Now please do take care of yourself, subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one. Goodbye.